Late breaking transfer news on Sunday night. Alabama's Jahvon Quinerly will enter the transfer portal on June 25th. Any shot the Tar Heels go after him?
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, it's Monday, June 26th, 2023. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Shade, and I want to thank you for joining us on Locked On Tar Heels, your first listen or watch every single day. You everydayers, hope you had a great weekend. Great to see you back for another week here on the show. If you're new to the show, maybe you're just visiting, welcome in. The water's fine. Glad to have you here. Very seriously, would love for you to come be part of our community on a more full-time basis. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of the Locked On Network. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. Coming up on the show, while Leaky Black and Nance did not get drafted on NBA draft night, they have signed some deals. We'll talk about those. And also want to update you on how Ian Jackson is doing with the under-19 USA team at the FIBA World Cup. Always interesting to see how future Tar Heels are performing. But first, before we get into all that, some news that I really did not expect to start the show with today is that Alabama guard Javon Quinerly quite unexpectedly didn't enter the transfer portal on Sunday night, but we learned about his intention to do so. Joe Tipton from On3, Tipton Edits, you've probably seen those a lot if you follow college basketball, was the first with this. Now, I mean, this is crazy. Here we are last week of June, and we're still finding out about transfers. Now, here's the truth of the matter. I expected we'd still have more grad transfer news kind of throughout the summer, not with a consistent basis, but here and there. But to get somebody of Javon Quinerly's level and capability, I did not think we'd have another player of this magnitude enter the portal, especially just a few days after the Crimson Tide have landed Jarin Stevenson, a pain that we Tar Heel folks know all too well. But of course, as you would expect, anytime there is a big-time player who enters the transfer portal or becomes available in some method, I was immediately asked and have continued to be asked a lot. And I'm glad. Like, I love that folks think like, hey, this person's entered the portal. Let me go ask Isaac about it. I love that you want to come and find out that information from me. That means a lot. Thank you so much. But here's the basic question. Is there any chance the Tar Heels go after Javon Quinerly? Or maybe also asked the other way, is there any chance that Javon Quinerly would be interested in North Carolina? Well, the very short answer is I don't see this happening. But let's unpack it a little bit. The kind of more fun answer is perhaps. But here's why I say that is if you're Hubert Davis, if you're the coaching staff, you at least make a call because you don't ever want to say no for someone. I don't ever want to assume in anything in life that the answer the person will give me to the question I'm going to ask is no. What I always like to say is you got to make them tell you no. If I'm hiring for the CEO of my company, and I don't think there's a chance that whomever it is going to come work for me. Why would I make that assumption? Why would I not make them tell me no, right? And so if you think Javon Quinerly is somebody that could be part of your program and do great things, make him tell you no. The other thing I like to say is the worst thing that could happen is they tell you no. And so if you think someone is a good fit, get after it. Especially in this case, you make the call because you've lost Simeon Wilcher, who is now at St. John's. Part of that is knowing what the coaching staff's conversations are behind closed doors. Are they saying, well, I know Simeon left, but we feel like we're good with what we got. If so, great. You move on, right? If you feel like the players in North Carolina's backcourt right now are enough, great. No need to look into this. However, if you think, we lost Simeon and we'd really, really like to have somebody, then go after Javon hard. Again, push it, make him tell you no. But again, I think Carolina's probably saying, hey, we're good. Our backcourt is complete. But all of that said, Jahvon Quinerly will be a great addition for whatever team he lands with. But I'm just going to say he is not coming to North Carolina. Why do I say that? Well, this is a young man whom, yes, he did not start the majority of last season. That Jaden Bradley did that, who interestingly wound up transferring also out of Alabama to, anybody remember, Arizona, where Caleb Love now is. Wonder what Jaden Bradley's thinking right about now, thinking, oh man, all those minutes, they're right back there for me. I should never have left Alabama. I don't know what's going on in his head, but you got to imagine he's thinking some of that. But here's the thing. Jahvon Quinerly is not entering the transfer portal to come back up RJ and Elliot. I just don't see that as a thing, because while he didn't start the majority of last season, he did move into the starting point guard position for the postseason for Alabama. And projects that he would have done so again. Now I'm guessing it'll probably be Mark Sears for Alabama with him leaving, but the only way I could see this making any kind of sense is if the coaching staff has seen something in these first couple of weeks from Elliot Cadeau that leads them to believe, oh man, maybe he won't be ready to go from day one, won't be ready to step in which case Jahvon Quinerly would be a great person to slot in that regard. But from everything I've heard and seen and been told, there's nothing to indicate that Elliot isn't who the coaching staff thinks he is already and right now. So if you're asking me, I'm telling you, I believe that Jahvon Quinerly is going elsewhere to a program that is in more need of a lead guard. And there are plenty of those programs at the high major level who might have somebody right now that's serviceable, that's like, yeah, that's our starting point guard, but we don't feel great about it. And then he would go in and take over that role. Now, some of you might also be asking the question, how on earth is Jahvon Quinerly even able to go in the transfer portal? The transfer window has way closed. And if you listened to our big mailbag episode several weeks ago, we answered this question, but I'll tell you again now. But it's also a question of how is he available to play right now? Because also this would be his second transfer. If you remember, Jahvon Quinerly started his career at Villanova and then has played at Alabama for 3 years since. So let me answer both of those. How is he available both from a timeline standpoint and from a second transfer standpoint? Well, the answer to both of these is all about being a grad transfer. From a timing standpoint, the grad transfers don't have that same 60-day window that undergrads do to enter the transfer portal. And so that applies specifically to undergrads transferring to be an undergrad. If you are somebody that has finished undergrad and is transferring to be a grad student elsewhere, there is no timeline. There is no deadline on that. You can enter the transfer portal and be immediately eligible at any point. There's also another difference. If you're a grad transfer, like you're already in a grad program and you're going to another grad program, that deadline is even earlier than the undergrad one. So that's out. But Quinerly can do this because he would be an undergrad graduating and transferring as a graduate. And then on the second time transfer thing, since this would be going from Villanova to Alabama to wherever, because he's a grad transfer, that makes him immediately eligible and not needing a waiver as a second time transfer. So there's the answer to both of those questions and why that Jahvon Quinerly can not only transfer now, but be immediately eligible as well. So be really interesting just from a college basketball standpoint to watch and see where he lands and winds up. But I do not believe it will be at North Carolina. Crazier things have happened, but I just don't see this happening. I'm sorry to break that news. While Leaky Black and Pete Nance were not drafted last Thursday night in the NBA draft, they have both since signed with teams with two different types of contracts. I'll explain it to you, break it down, and tell you what's next for both of these guys in just a second. But first, as we said, this episode of Locked On Tar Heels, it's brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/locked-on to join today. And while you're there, go check out some bets on the Braves because they are smoking right now and you won't be disappointed. Friends, don't miss that chance to snag your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/locked-on to sign up. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission. Okie dokie, friends. I just want to tell you, we've been getting so many great questions in from you all. And so I want to say thank you for that. But I want to tell you about a new fun thing I want to try out with it as well. I want to typically what happens is you send in your questions and I'll read them. I want to involve you more in the show. So here's what I'd love to do if you would like to is lockedontarheels@gmail.com is the place to send these types of questions I'm about to suggest. Is on your phone, either in portrait mode or preferably landscape, record a 15-second video, nothing more than that, of yourself. Introduce yourself, where you're from, and give me your question. And would love to just start banking some questions that way. Just a fun way to involve your own voices more in the show. If you don't want your face to show up, you can even just send it as an audio message and we can use that. It won't show up, obviously, on video as that would, but we can obviously play the audio of it. So lockedontarheels@gmail.com, 15-second video, your name, where you're from, and give me your question, and we would love to answer it. All right. Send some more questions in. Do it that way. It'll be a blast checking that out. Would love to see your beautiful smiling faces. All right. Leaky Black, Pete Nance, the two Tar Heels that graduated last year, running out of eligibility after both using that fifth COVID year. Neither of them were drafted, unfortunately, but they both have since signed a contract. Leaky Black has signed a two-way contract with Charlotte, and Pete Nance, we understand, has signed an Exhibit 10 deal with the Cleveland Cavaliers, which is a pretty cool family thing. I'll talk about that more in a minute. Let's start with Leaky and the two-way contract. You might be familiar with this. You might be not, if you're an NBA person or not. But there are some changes to two-way contracts under the new collective bargaining agreement that'll start for the NBA this year. Typically, all 30 NBA teams have been able to have two-way contracts per season. They have just under the new CBA bumped that up to 3. So each team will now have 3 two-way contracts. That means there's 30 more jobs to go around in the NBA. Pretty cool thing. Now, what a two-way contract allows you to do is to play for both the big club and the G League affiliate. In instances where the team doesn't have a G League affiliate, you are placed with another one. Now, it has to be a player that has fewer than 4 years of NBA service, and also the player can play no more than 50 NBA games that season. And so that's just part of the way that the NBA goes about trying to, you're sandbagging by having this dude on a two-way, but really he's a baller. And so that way you can't get, a 16th, 17th, and 18th guy on your roster that are just guys that you actually want to use for your big club. And so that's the way that goes. And that's what Leaky's on. So that is the next level contract other than just an outright NBA contract. So Leaky's just right there, and that's good news. Now for Pete, with the Exhibit 10 deal to the Cavs, first, before I explain the deal, you might or might not remember that both Pete's dad, Larry Nance Sr., and his brother, Larry Nance Jr., played for the Cavs. His dad, Larry Sr., played 7 seasons for the Cavs. I believe it was the end of his career. Pretty cool stuff. And then Larry is no longer with the Cavs. I believe he's with the Pelicans now, but played parts of 4 seasons, like 3 seasons and parts of a 4th with the Cavs himself. And so really cool, whether this works out for Pete or not, which a lot of times the Exhibit 10s don't on any long-term sort of way. It's just a cool thing for Pete to get to do. So basically what an Exhibit 10 deal is a 1-year non-guaranteed deal with built-in clauses that allow a team to convert it into a 2-way contract if they want or need to do so, but have to do so prior to the regular season. And so that's part of it too, is that if the Cavs wanted to convert this into a 2-way deal for Pete Nance, they'd have to do that before the regular season started. But if they do cut him, there's like a bonus you earn and things like that. So it's not as good a footing as 2-way, but it can be, and sometimes is, converted into a 2-way contract. As for the Cavs and their 3 2-way contracts, we'll see. It seems like they probably already kind of have this sewn up. I think that they've already signed Craig Porter Jr. on a 2-way. I think they're going to sign Emoni Bates to a 2-way, who was their 2nd-round pick this year. Last year, when it was still just 2 2-way players, they had Virginia's Mamadi Diakite and then Isaiah Mobley as well. Everything I've read and heard is that Mobley is someone they'll probably sign again. And so it seems like the Cavs' 3 2-way players are going to be Craig Porter, Isaiah Mobley, and Emoni Bates. We'll have to wait and see on that. But good things could happen for Pete. Now, where do these guys go next? Summer League starts up, like the kind of small versions of Summer League, next Monday. So a week from today in Sacramento and Salt Lake City. The Cavs aren't in Sacramento or Salt Lake City, but the Hornets are playing in the Sacramento League. And so Leaky and the Hornets will play the Spurs next Monday at 8 on ESPN. Doubt Wemby will play in that, but we'll see. We'll have to keep our eyes on that. And then on Wednesday of next week at 6 on ESPN2, they will play the Warriors. But then we get to Las Vegas and the legit full-on 30-team NBA Summer League, which runs from July 7th through the 14th. So each team will play 4 games kind of in that stretch from the 7th through Friday the 14th. So basically 8 days, and you play 4 games in that span. And so you can go check it out. I've got both the Cavaliers and Hornets schedule here, but you can go look at it. I don't want to read it all to you. But then 4 of the 30 NBA teams will be deemed playoff teams based on winning percentage, and then there's a whole bunch of tiebreakers. And so for that, the on Sunday, the 16th, will be the 2 semifinals, and then Monday evening at 9 on ESPN is the championship. But all the other 26 teams will also get a 5th game either on Saturday, the 15th, or Sunday, the 16th. And so get to see that. And so what exactly is it we're looking for from both Pete and Leaky? Well, Leaky, as I said, is in a better position. Already has this 2-way contract. And so what we're looking for Leaky to do is Leaky things. Just needs to be who he is, doing all those intangibles, defend at a high level, facilitate. But I think the most important thing he needs to show at a consistent basis is the ability to knock down shots. or the ability to attack the rim. I think Leaky has that athleticism. We saw it a little bit more toward the end of last year than we had seen previously from him, but I just want to see that consistently. That is what he's going to like, because the defense is going to be there. That's going to translate from college to the NBA. But Leaky is going to have to prove that he can knock down shots consistently at the NBA level. I think everything else he needs is there. The length, the positional height, all of that. The switchability on defense, come on. And so the question is, can Leaky showcase those things at Summer League, or is it so much of guys trying to prove themselves and all that he won't be able to do it? I don't know. We'll have to keep our eyes out on that. But that's next week. So just a short week, and we'll get to see Leaky playing again. For Pete, the goal is to play himself into a two-way contract, whether it's with the Cavs or catching the eye of another franchise who might be on the lookout for somebody with his skill set. And I mean, it's kind of cool. Thankfully, he's got that name and pedigree. I think, as I said with Leaky, the biggest thing is showing the offensive ability. I think with Pete, it's showing my back is okay. And anything that happened last year that was kind of negative was a result of that. I didn't shoot how I can because my back is jacked up, all of those things. And so hopefully Pete will be able to do this. And if it doesn't work out, I wouldn't be surprised if he signed an international deal somewhere with someone. And I mean, that's a great way to make a living and go see the world. And so we'll keep our eyes on both Leaky and Pete and their progressions. Well, that is two former Tar Heels. What about an upcoming Tar Heel? Ian Jackson and the under-19 Americans have been playing in Hungary on Saturday and Sunday, starting off the under-19 FIBA World Cup. Got updates for you from that, as well as what we're watching for coming up from Ian and his teammates. We'll get to that in just a second. All right, so the under-19 America U.S. men's national junior team is in action in Hungary, the FIBA World Cup. Ian Jackson, class of 24 for the Tar Heels, is part of this team made up of mostly guys that are already in college. And so Ian is one of just a couple dudes who are still in high school. And so kind of got to find his way with that. Well, the Americans have played two games. They played Madagascar on Saturday and Slovenia on Sunday. They have a day off today before their final pool game tomorrow on Tuesday against Lebanon. So let me take you back through these first two games. On Saturday, Madagascar, that beautiful island that likes to move it. I'm sorry, I apologize. Couldn't help myself. I just saw the live version of Madagascar with my kids a couple weeks ago and my wife. It was awesome. Anyway, America beats Madagascar over the weekend, 136-69, record for an American under-19 team in terms of points scored. As for Ian, again, one of the younger guys, so it's cool that he's getting this much burn, but was the third leading scorer on the team, 17 points in just over 16 minutes, had a crazy efficient game, 7 of 11 shooting from the field, 3 of 4 from 3, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. And sure, that came against an overmatched Madagascar team. But you can still take away things from that because Ian, as a younger guy on this team, showed out amongst a group of similarly crazy, highly talented American basketball players, many of whom have already completed a year of college or are just about to. Either of those two things. And so, I mean, it's impressive for him to be able to do that. Now, here's the other thing. The second game against Slovenia did not have that much time. Ian only got to play 5:44 in this game, just 2 points, 1 of 2 shooting, 1 rebound, and 1 assist. So not as much playing time on Sunday. Now, as for the game itself, the Americans were down by as many as 12 points in this game, as many as 11 in the fourth quarter, came back, though, to win 77-72 to keep their record unblemished. And so good come from behind win against Slovenia. What this means for game 3, here's what I'm looking for with Ian on Tuesday against Lebanon, who, by the way, lost to Madagascar, that same team that America obliterated on Saturday. So that'll be interesting to watch tomorrow. But from Ian, I'm hopeful for more minutes in this Lebanon game. He should. I mean, Lebanon, again, as I just said, projects to be worse than Madagascar was. They just lost to him by a double-digit margin. But what I want to find out is if Sunday's few minutes for Ian was a trend, or if Coach Boyle, Tad Boyle, Colorado's coach, is coaching this team, if he was just trying different combos, trying to get some guys rest, etc. I don't know. But we'll be looking for that. What kind of playing time does Ian get tomorrow on Tuesday against Lebanon? Is he able to be efficient like he was in game one? He did get into some foul trouble on Sunday, so that might have played a factor as well. But we'll keep our eyes on this, and hopefully Ian will be able to continue delivering for this team. By the way, just projecting out the rest of the week, pool play ends, as I said, on Tuesday. Then right into the Sweet 16 on Wednesday, a day off on Thursday, just like on Monday. But then the quarterfinals, semifinals, finals, boom, 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 Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so they're definitely going to be using that depth. It's only 12 guys on the roster, just like the Olympics. And so got to figure if the Americans keep on going, Ian will continue to get burned and hopefully earn another gold medal for his country, as he's done 2 times previous. All right, folks, it's a great day to get back started on Locked On Tar Heels in a brand new week, the last week of June. I can't believe that's a reality. I want to thank you so much for joining us on today's episode, making it your first listen or first watch to get your best Tar Heels content every day. It's awesome to get to hang out. You can follow the show on Twitter at Locked On Heels. You can follow me on Twitter at Isaac Shade. As we said earlier, you can email the show lockedontarheels@gmail.com. Please feel free to engage. Feel free to send a video. You can just, again, do it on your phone, attach it there, and we'll use that as a question. Don't forget to subscribe to the show, smash the like button, let us know you were here, and leave comments on your thoughts on Javon Quinerly. Your congrats to Leaky and Pete for their stuff. Well, thanks so much again for hanging out with me on a Monday. I want to remind you that it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. I'll be right back with you tomorrow, but until then, peace.